Since the last episode of Happily Ever After No Limits Tell All Part 3, where Stacy came out to say that Floren had now moved away to a different location, and also given the fact that in the past 5 months she's only seen him pretty much about twice, she definitely expressed the fact that she felt as if this man had now started to step away from her relationship, or should I say their relationship, especially given the fact that he now has his green card. So with that being said, she also then alluded to the fact that maybe Florian has now actually moved on with another woman, and this is why she believes he is not making efforts to travel back to Miami to see her on a more often basis. And I guess at the same time she's also alluding to the fact that maybe he's also not available for phone calls as much as he should be, nor is he inviting her to come over to where he's at to be able to spend time with him. Now, just in case you don't know, the reason why he has moved to a different location in America is because he found a job opportunity. And to be fair, when we look at the pieces and we look at everything that's kind of gone down, it is a bit strange that this man finally decided to actually put some work in to find a job when he knew that his citizenship was pretty much going to be secure. He had so many years to do this, and he barely even lifted a finger to actually go out there and actually really get a job to be able to provide her or to bring any kind of life for himself or Stacy, as well as their marriage. So the fact that he's now got a job around this time, it definitely does make things a little bit fishy. But also on top of that, we've also got the situation where in the last resort, it also came out that Florian was helping another woman who lived in the same complex as him and Stacy to obviously, I believe at the time he saw her out, she was drunk, she was struggling to get home, so he thought he'd be a helping hand. Now, of course, when it came out in the last resort, it came out in a way that kind of showed that maybe he had been unloyal to Stacy with this said woman. Of course, none of these things were ever proven, but now people are speculating online to saying that they have seen Floren with another woman. Now, with that being said, I then decided to do some research, and I actually did find a picture of Floren with another woman. Now, obviously, as you can see in front of our eyes, this is a picture of Floren with another woman. Now, of course, at first I was like, but how do I know this picture is legit? Now, as I looked at the picture, I mean, I didn't see anything in the picture that kind of showed like a deformed side of it. For example, usually when it comes to a picture that has been photoshopped, something like this, that where the lines are completely straight, usually you see one of them kind of be out of place, or you see like the door frame being a little bit out of place, maybe even the foot itself or even the tiles. But the whole background looked quite legit, so I thought, you know what, maybe this picture is legit. And then also I looked at the quality, but then I thought the quality could be poor because maybe the picture has been screenshotted a couple of times and therefore the resolution isn't exactly as crisp as what it should be. So then I decided to do the thing that, well, is the thing that I guess is easier to do rather than use my own assumption. Decided to take this picture all the way to ChatGPT, where I simply asked the question, is this photo fake? And as you can see here, ChatGPT starts off by saying it's not possible to say with certainty whether this photo is fake, but I can point out signs that often indicate manipulation, okay, based on image inspection. So we continue here. Obviously, it states obviously the things that look normal, lighting on both people appears consistent with the room's ambient light, shadows and reflections on the floor, and clothing seem coherent. The portions look natural. The background elements, door frame, flowers, bench do not show obvious wrapping, you know, obviously, as I said before, which often happens in AI generated or poorly edited photos. So of course, so I decided to come in because of course, when it comes to photos now that are edited by AI as well as Photoshop, you see these things, but usually when it's AI, if you ask me personally, it's easier to kind of suss out. Now, with that being said, it continues here by saying possible signs of editing, but not definitive. Now, the man's arms around the woman look slightly unusual. Where it meets her shoulder, the edge is a bit soft, which can happen in edits, but also in normal photos, depending on focus and compression. And of course, when it comes to the compression, given the fact this picture would have been photoshopped probably a few times, and even by myself in particular, that's something that can definitely destroy the compression of a photo. Now, also on top of it, it says the lighting on the face is slightly different. Her face slightly softer, his is more contrasted. This could be natural, different angles to the light, or a sign of composing, okay? Then also says the text on the door behind them, Katrina Becky, appears extremely crisp compared to the rest of the image, which could simply be a decay sign or have been edited in. Now, of course, to be honest with you, let's just go back to the picture itself in particular based on what we've read so far. Again, for my personal human suspicion, inspection, I don't see anything that tells me this photo is actually necessarily fake. I'm definitely more on the thing where it looks more normal than it does look edited. Now, also on top of that, it does say here there is no clear, strong indicators of digital manipulation like disordered edges, mismatched shadows, repeating textures, or inconsistent depth. In this, if the photo is fake, it's a highly quality edit with no obvious giveaways. Here's the thing, folks. Who the hell is going to go out of the way to, really make this a high quality photo just to say, oh, Florian has got another woman? No one's going to do that. It's not that deep. So therefore, for me personally, I'm not convinced that I'm still in a position where I'm convinced that this picture is real. But of course, I did ask for a closer look just to clarify. And to be fair, after looking at everything that was detailed here, I mean, the grand scheme of things is that the conclusion says after close inspection, there is no detachable signs of image manipulation in the areas that typically reveal fakery. And with that being said, it brings me to my conclusion, and that is that this picture is obviously 1000% real. But does it give us any proof that this, my apologies for that, but does it give us any proof that this means that Florian has now found somebody else? Now, that's where things obviously get interesting. Now, if you ask me personally, the fact that he is hugging her in this format where she's got her arms inside of his coat, wrapped around him, looking rather cozy. And, this is the kind of picture that you don't necessarily take with somebody that is a co-worker. Nor do you take it with somebody that's a friend, especially if you're taking it for online purposes. This is the kind of picture that you take if you're doing it with your partner. And to be real with you folks, out of all the pictures that I've seen of Florian and Stacy, I've never seen him so happy hugging another woman before. So that part is something that I definitely do question, if you dig what I'm saying, all right? But nonetheless, though, this is obviously my inspection obviously of the photo. It doesn't clarify that Florian has moved on with another woman, but it clarifies that this photo is 1000% real. Well, for the most part, it is real. So it comes down to you folks. Do you think that this is the new woman in his life, or do you think that yes, he is still with Stacy and they're still trying to work through things? But either way, though, what I would definitely ask is this, ladies, specifically for the ladies, if you saw your man hugging another woman that you probably don't even know, that's from this different location, and this was the photo, what would you think? How would it make you feel? And also, mandem, if you are going to be hugging a woman that is in this format, what does that mean? Why would you give a woman in this format a cuddle? Do you see what I'm saying? If I was to give a cuddle like this to one of my female friends, it'd be because I'm actually single and I can be comfortable like that. But if I'm with someone, there's that respect level. Do you dig what I'm saying? Well, either way, though, definitely want to hear obviously what everybody's got to say down below in the comment section. But of course, don't forget, this week is the last week of Happily Ever After Part 4 as we move on to the next season, or the new and the next season of 90 Day Fiancé, which obviously will be starting within the next week in particular. But I hope you guys can be here for the live stream that we do when we do cover everything that goes down at the Terror Part 4, as well as anything else that is 90 Day related. Now, with that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, peace.